welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. I am Coach Julia, and today's video is going to be about some very beginner backward skating exercises. Now I have a couple of beginner skating tutorials, so if this is your first time ever trying to skate backwards, I have a perfect tutorial already done for you. You can check it out in the link down in the description below. It's for your first time skating backwards. But if you've done a little bit of backward skating, this is like your second tutorial, right? So check out the video below in the description, work on those skills, and then come back and work on this one, okay? All right, so we're gonna do 3 different skating skills going backwards. So the first one we're gonna do is called a teeter-totter, like a seesaw, teeter-totter motion, okay? So we're just gonna be heading straight down the ice, and I want you to start with your feet kind of in an A frame, all right? Kind of soft knees, and an A-frame. Now, when you do this, I want you to keep your hips tucked under. In skating, it's very important to not have your hips piked out behind you, not to break in the hips. It's gonna make your upper body really unstable. It's gonna throw your shoulders forward. You don't have as much strength there. So if you can keep those hips tucked under and really activate those quads instead, you're gonna have much better pushes, but you also are keeping your weight right over the middle of your foot that way. You can see that my shoulders, my hips, and my skates are all in alignment this way, rather than here where I'm gonna be swinging back and forth. Okay, so keep those hips tucked under, knees bent a little bit, engage your core, your back, your shoulders, so your upper body is nice and tall. All right, so you want to keep that upper body position throughout. Again, I have my feet kind of in a little bit of a wide stance. I'm going to put my hands down in front of me, pressing down into a low V. All right, I talk about this in some of my other beginner tutorials. You do not want those hands coming up. Okay, keep them down, pressing down towards the ice like you are pushing on a giant ball or something. Okay, so those hands are going down. Now for this motion, we're literally just going to be teeter-tottering back and forth. Okay, it's called a teeter-totter. That's what we're doing. So I'm going to put my weight on my right foot, and I'm just going to push back and forth between my feet. Okay, so this is that motion, teeter-totter. Okay, now to get some momentum, you're going to turn your toes slightly in. So each time you push, you're pushing off of the center of the pushing foot. Okay, so I'm going to push with the center, the inside of my left foot. So like where your arch is, you're gonna push off of that a little bit. And come down, and I'm gonna push off the center, the arch of my right foot, and come down. All right, so you think about the middle of your foot pushing off of the ice. Push, push, push. So again, we have that nice posture, soft knees, hands low in front, all right? Nice tall upper body, engaging your core and your back. You're gonna turn your toes slightly in like a little V, okay? And you're gonna push off of the arch of each foot. Just lift it a little tiny bit off the ice, and your body kind of swings back and forth, side to side, so your weight is transferring to be over the gliding foot. Okay, so you're pushing away from the arch of one foot and transferring your weight to the gliding foot. For our next backward skating exercise, we're going to do a move called a backward slalom. It's also called a 2-foot edge pull. So if you are someone who's working on edge pulls, this is the 2-foot version. All right, edge pulls, for those of you who aren't familiar, are much more difficult, but you can start practicing that motion now with this 2-foot backward slalom. All right, so we're going to be doing a slalom motion with our feet together, okay? So you don't want them to be working independently, you want them to stay together. So when you're doing this, I want you to really think about keeping your knees, your ankles together, so working as one motion. It's basically gonna be a twisting motion, okay? So you're keeping your upper body somewhat facing forward and twisting your lower body opposite, you know, corner to corner. So you're looking at one corner, toes looking at the other corner, toes looking at a corner, toes looking at a corner. So that's basically the motion of it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pump our knees and make those curves, okay? So each time we try to make a little curve, so I'm gonna curve to my left, curve, pump the knees, and we're gonna come back, curve to the right and pump the knees. All right, so we're using our edges. So the foot on the outside of the circle is going to be on the inside edge. The foot on the inside of the circle is going to be on the outside edge. So we're kind of leaning against those edges and bending our knees and pumping. Bend and push, bend and push, bend and push. All right, so you got to get a really good twist through the core, okay? So that's one of the really important parts of this move is twisting the core, bending those knees and push against the ice, bend and push against the ice. So every time you want to try to make your feet make a complete half circle, so we go push, half circle, push, push, bend down into the ice, push, twist, push. All right, so we're making that backward slalom motion, really activating the quads. All right, as with the other moves, we want our upper body nice and tall, and we're getting down into the quads to get the power. So as with the move before, you want to be down in those knees, but not in the hips. Okay, so we're keeping our hips under us as much as we can. All right, so most of the motion is in the knees, and our upper body is really tall and activated. Okay, so you're using your core, using your back, so you have a lot of strength, and your upper body is not wiggling around and throwing you off. You want to keep strength in your upper body so that it's stable. Okay, so lower body moving, upper body still. Okay, so I have my hands down, and again, I'm going to push down into the ice and stand up, bend down, stand up. Use those quads, stand up, push into the ice. Use those edges. Try to lean into your edges so you're kind of leaning back towards the line you started on. So if you can imagine you're on a center line, you're going to lean back towards that line with each push. With all of these moves going backwards, it's really important to not get those toe picks in the ice, grabbing the ice. If you're moving backwards and you get up on those toe picks, they're going to stop you, or at least slow down all that momentum you're working so hard to get. So I want you to really think about putting your weight right through the middle of your foot. Okay, all of these, you want to get your weight right in the middle of that skate rather than up at the front, and certainly not at the back where you could fall on your, fall backwards. So right through the middle. All right, I want you to think about that. Now we have one more move to work on, one more backward skating exercise. Now you need to know how to do backward swizzles for this one, and I do have that in that tutorial I mentioned earlier. So if you don't know how to do swizzles, check out that link below. You can learn your backward swizzles. All right, but this is going to be half swizzles. So we're going to do like a letter D. All right, so we're going to have one leg going straight and the other leg making a big curve. Then we're going to switch, okay? So each leg gets its turn to make that half swizzle motion. So we have that same motion where we're kind of low, all right? Hips tucked under, body nice and tall, engaging the core, pressing those hands down. All right, this motion we're going to try to make go straight. So we don't want to make a big zigzag while we're doing it. This one, we want to work straight. So if you need to, you can find a line and practice on a line, and that'll help you go straighter. Okay. So I'm going to start by pushing with my right foot. So I'm going to turn that foot open. So you can see my left foot is still pushing, pointing forward. My right foot, I've swung my heel out, okay? And I'm down in my knees, so I'm ready to push. You're going to do a big push, stand up, and pull that heel back in till your feet are parallel. Now I'm going to shift my weight over slightly to my right side. I'm going to open with my left, push out, stand up, and bring that heel back in until my feet are parallel. If you bring your foot in and smack it into the other one, you're going to stop all the way. So work on bringing it in and then sliding those feet parallel so you can keep that momentum going. So we're going to go down in those knees, open the heel, push, rise up through those knees, down, push, rise up through your knees, down, push, bring that heel in and rise up. So it's a little bit of a down and up motion with your knees. Down and rise up, down and rise up. And your weight very subtly shifts back and forth to whichever foot is not pushing. Okay, so my weight's going to be on my left now, and now my weight's on my right. So I'm shifting that weight back and forth a little bit with each push. I'm going to do those on this black line here so you can a little bit see what I'm talking about not swinging back and forth. So when we do it, we really want to keep our hips aimed directly down that line. All right, so you want to keep a sense of where that line is. So if you push and you swing your hips back and forth, you're going to make this big messy zigzag and it's not going to be as powerful. So I want you to think about keeping your hips always pointed directly down that line. All right, so I've got my hips tucked under, nice tall body, low press down hands. I'm going to push and then come back to my line, push, come back to the line. So you can think about having your gliding foot always going straight down that line. All right, so you can see one foot goes away from the line and comes back, but I'm always trying to keep one foot pointed straight down this line that I'm working on. All right, so keep a sense of that line with your hips and with your skating foot the entire time you're working on this. All right, skaters, I hope you enjoyed those backwards skating tips. And if you enjoyed that, there are so many more tutorials on this channel. There's a whole playlist on beginner skating tutorials. You can go through that and brush up on all kinds of skills. Spins, jumps, backward skating, fancy little turns. So check out all the other videos so you can continue your skating learning journey. If you enjoyed this, please do give us that thumbs up. And as always, I look forward to reading all your comments in this section down below. If you haven't done so yet, then hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell down in the corner so you can see all my videos when they come out. Happy skating, and I'll see you next time.